Hi, I'm Pat and welcome back to the channel. If you tuned in recently, you saw that I had a video with Jay from Chasing the Apex. We talked about the BMW i8 and the Alfa Romeo 4C. Well, I wanted to continue to have more conversations with him about some of the other cars that we've driven and our experiences. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you're new to the channel, please click the subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications, as I'll be posting more content like this. But let's get right to it. Jay, it's good to see you again, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me again. It's always a pleasure, Pat. I have a good time. God knows. So Pat actually has to shut the camera off, otherwise I'll just keep rambling on for like ever. It's terrible. Poor dude, I went through like 6 batteries. You know what I mean? His laptop's died. The i8 is now an antique. You know, and all I've ever gotten done talking about was whatever I was rambling about.
No, it's quite okay, because you know what? I think that, you know, car enthusiasts, true car enthusiasts, can really sit back and have these conversations ad nauseum and enjoy them, and time just flies. And I think this is something that we now have the unique opportunity to be able to do this across the miles with technology, whereas we might just be two dudes in a parking lot that just happen to see each other's cars and open a conversation, and you know, day turns into dusk, turns into night, and it's like, oh, I got to get home. The other half is waiting for me. So, you know, now
that's it. Yeah.
At least that's how it was. Like that. Yeah, exactly. That's how it was when I was growing up. You know, with the car cruise. I mean, you're out in California, and have you been there your whole life?
Well, not my whole life, but I'm born and raised in California. I'm a Bay Area guy. So, you know, home of King Kenny Roberts, by the way. I'm one of the greatest AMA racers and MotoGP racers to ever live. Just saying. Just saying.
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
And so, you know, I have the privilege of growing up around some of the best tracks in the world and some of the best roads in the world. And, you know, I know the SoCal guys, who I don't really think are from Southern California. Don't burn down my house, guys. I'm just kidding. You know, they obviously they're going to have like Angeles Crest here. We're going to have some different roads without blowing up the spot, as the kids would say, you know, because any given Sunday you can go out. This is something I think car marketers fail to realize. They kind of market to guys our age and a little older, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, what they don't realize is on any given Sunday, there's a bunch of kids in that canyon, and they're out there canyon ratting, and they're in groups of hundreds. And so really that's who they need to be looking at. That's who they, you know, I think they need to be catering to, because they are the future. They are the future canyon rats. They are the future track rats. They are the future racers. And back in the day, they used to say, you know, race on Sunday, sell on Monday, you know. And so, yeah, it's the same thing. You know, you go out there and you watch these kids interact, and, you know, here, and I'm jealous because I'm here with the camera doing something with a car, you know, that's because I'm there with a purpose now. I'm still enjoying myself. I'm still engaged, but you really kind of want to be over there hanging out with them and going, hey, man, what's up? Show me this thing. And so I definitely feel that. But I'm getting that with you, and I really dig that because it's something that unites us all.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I mean, I know for me being a YouTuber and trying to make sure that I produce content that doesn't interfere with my enjoyment, per se. So if I'm participating in an event, I'm not typically out there with a camera and doing some things. So I'm sort of away from that environment or people that may be enthusiastic or interested in the cars. I try to separate that, but at the same time, I want to capture it because there's so many different good stories out there too. I want to be able to share, you know, what's your driving experience like? What's your ownership experience like with your particular car? What got you into this, you know? And that's really the big thing. I know for me, growing up, my dad was a mechanic, and he would take me out to the car cruises and the car shows, and was able to point out, you know, I had this car in you know, this is the late 40s or mid 50s or early 60s, whatever. And you know, he had so many friends from that era because he grew up during that era, being born in the early 40s. So, you know, he was out being a mechanic and hot rodding, you know, getting all these fast cars going faster, and remembers the days where, you know, we watch all these things on TV with like American Graffiti. You know, he lived it. So, you know, it's, yeah. So he was he really introduced me to really all that entire environment, and I sort of got away from that for a little bit, but then I came back to it after I bought my first Corvette, and I was out learning how to drag race, whether it was on a street or at a track, and then helping friends with broken cars. A lot of my friends were Mustang guys, so there were times where, hey, we want to do a manual swap, and I'm like, okay, I'll come over and whatever I could do to help you. And I learned a lot from them as well as my dad on cars, and after that I began to tinker a little bit more and explore a little bit more. And my time with the C3 Corvette, the 1978, was a very good learning experience.
You have to regret selling this car. I mean, this is like the icon of the icon of Corvettes. I know the C1, C2 guys are gonna be like, hey, wait a minute, but no, the C3 Corvette is like, that's what everybody thinks of when they think of a classic vet.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Not at all. You hit the nail right on the head, because I felt it was hard for me to sell the car because I enjoyed it so much, but the car didn't have air conditioning, didn't have power windows, and those two things right there made it difficult, because when it got too hot and you needed to lower the passenger window, to allow the air in, you had to reach. It was such a pain.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I don't like about that particular one that I owned, but that's what I could afford. I bought it and sold it for the same price, but I did spend a lot of time restoring it. I enjoyed taking it to shows and wanted to get some feedback from judges and things, and it was pretty neat to be able to put it out there for display. But it was metallic mahogany, which meant that it was brown.
Monterey red.
Yeah, but it was brown at night, and it was maroon during the day, which was not attractive. And the interior was the doe skin tan interior, and it was okay. I enjoyed that. But every time I see a metallic mahogany Corvette, my heart goes out immediately, and like, why did I get rid of this car? So you're absolutely right. Oh, we lost the connection. Uh-oh. That was nuts, man.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, that went out fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was just nuts, because I heard the wind and stuff blowing on the garage doors here, and I'm like, well, there's a storm or something coming in. And then what happened is the lights in the garage flickered. Now, all my equipment is on a UPS, so I don't have problems with losing internet typically. So, but I had no internet. So I'm like, well, something must have came down on a line or something like that. But it came back. So apparently I found another route in order to connect us together again. But we were talking about Corvettes, and I think it would be good to sort of share, what your experiences have been as a Corvette owner.
Okay. You tell me when you're ready for me. Good.
I'm rolling right now.
Oh, okay. My bad. Let me get to work. So my experiences as a Corvette owner have been, I've had a lot of good experiences and bad experiences, and a little bit of both. People will say they are the most reliable sports car you can buy. Okay, sure.
Nope.
Sure. And the Corvette owners, I'm expecting people with, and I really am at this point, from all genres, all brand loyalty people are gonna come after me at this point. I'm expecting them to come down the street with pitchforks and fire and burn the man. But I mean, I think the reality is I think I spent more on replacing parts on a Corvette T6 than I ever did than I did buying my 4C. Just replacing things because they do wear out. But I love the culture of it, and I did drive the C6, so maybe that's I know C6s are kind of I know Corvettes in general they're treasures more than they are anything else, and so I don't want to take that away from them because they're beautiful. I think the C6 and the C3 are the most beautiful Corvettes ever made, maybe the most beautiful cars ever made. Okay, I take that back. The 33 Stradale is pretty beautiful.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's definitely in my top, dream cars is definitely a C3. And, if I had the opportunity to own a C6 again, I would. Just because of the nostalgia. Again, we have these really, as enthusiasts, as driving enthusiasts, as car enthusiasts, as motorheads, pick any segment of that you want. You know what I mean? We have these segments in time where things have changed, and they thrust us forward. And the Corvette's done that, and the Corvette does it well. So they'll hold on to something for a decade, and then they push you forward. They hurdle you forward decades beyond that. And I think Chevy does that really well. Bowling Green does it really, really well. And Corvette owners, they really make you feel like you belong, as long as you're a Corvette owner.
I agree with that. Yes, but
you're not a Corvette.
I know a lot of Corvette owners, and I've actually had them interact with me at a Cars and Coffee event. What is that? And as soon as I tell them, well, I'm a Corvette guy, but I happen to decide to buy an i8 just to see what it would be like. Yeah, then they open up and they're more, oh, you're one of us. That's cool. Let's come in for the big group hug. So I totally get it.
They are, I was talking to a gentleman, and I can't take the 4C anywhere without being stopped. It's just that kind of car. And I think there's a couple other cars where I've been like that. But in particular, the 4C, because I get to take that more often. And generally, it's the Corvette owners that want to talk about it. I've read about it. I want to see it. And they're always really, really friendly. You know what I mean? And they're always it's a very welcoming community once they know you're a Corvette guy. But if they don't know you're a Corvette guy, and God forbid you go to the Corvette forum, oh my God, they'll tar and feather you there for saying something negative. But no, generally my experience has been very good. I remember going to take my Corvette to get the balancer replaced, and I remember talking to her, and she's like, well, it's $5,000. And I thought, well, that's expensive for a C6. That's a lot of money to put into a C6, but it's my Corvette, and I must do this thing. You know what I mean? Because it's my Corvette. And I go on, that probably doesn't make sense to you, young lady. She goes, no, it makes perfect sense to me. You're a Corvette guy. Corvette guys don't make sense.
It's so true. Corvette guys don't make sense, but what they do, that's absolutely normal.
Absolutely, for Corvette people, what you're doing is normal.
I owned a.
She did start to tease me a little bit. She's like, "Aren't you supposed to have like a T-shirt with a Corvette flag and a hat that matches that? Your generation."
Yes, the New Balance shoes and the all those,
the gold chain.
Yes.
I said the age group, though. The age group, I'm there.
Absolutely. But you know what? I still have a love for Corvettes, and it's very hard for me to see one on the road and not want to try to buy one. It's very hard for me. And in fact, the last car I drove was a C5 6-speed. I mean, my 78 was a 4-speed manual, and then the C5, the 97, was a 6-speed manual. And I really enjoyed driving both of those cars. I really enjoyed just getting in the pedal, and such a fun experience. But after I got laid off, I had to sell my C5 Corvette, and I had no sports car, for about 10 years. So yeah, I saw all these other newer Corvettes come out, but haven't done much more than sat in them. So hopefully gonna try to get some time in a C6 and a C7. I've already gotten time in the C8, and that video's on my channel as well. And that was a very good experience after driving the i8, because the car feels more like an i8 than my C5 did, so it was interesting.
Sure. I can't watch that video until after I test the C8. It'll taint my perspective.
Yes.
But I've been hovering over it like I must.
What I would really like to see you do when you go into your drive with the C8 is to also ride as a passenger, because I think that you will get two different perspectives. So if you do have an opportunity, don't just drive it. If the owner drives it and is used to the car and you ride along, it's definitely a different experience, and it's worthy of taking the time to do that. Let me just put it that way.
I'd like to. I mean, that would be very cool. It's very rare that I get to be just a passenger, or even just an experienced passenger. I try to experience it as much as possible. I try to put as many people behind the wheel as I can, and I always find that to be different. And so I'm looking forward to the C8, and I'll definitely take that. That's going to be ringing in my head now. Pat's going passenger first, passenger first.
Yeah,
it's definitely going to be in my head.
I decided to do that when Justin from Horsepower Obsessed, he invited me to come to Pittsburgh, and I drove up, and we swapped cars, and I drove his C8 first, which was okay. There's nothing wrong with driving it first. But I said to him, is it okay if I ride along as a passenger? Like, I want you to drive it because I want to see what it's like to sit over here. And I didn't think about the driving experience, but just sitting in a different space of the car, because the way it's so driver-centric and it's so cockpit-focused, you've sat in it. But I felt like if I sat over here in the passenger seat, would I feel completely isolated and alone from the driver? And that's really what I wanted to feel. No, there's more to feel than that. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, that's interesting to me, because when I look at the cockpit, I can see all this room. And and the thing is huge, way bigger than I would have ever imagined in the pictures. It's actually very beautiful in comparison to the pictures. The pictures don't do it justice at all. It's just a beautiful, beautiful creature. And I hate orange. I hate it. But that orange looks very nice in person.
I agree. I've seen them in the orange. I've seen the fluorescent yellow color most recently.
Oh, really?
Wow, did that thing stand out? Yeah, it just happened to be parked next to a car event. It wasn't part of the event, but parked away, and you double take, and you're like, whoa, that thing really gets your attention. So they're playing with some new colors, and I think that they're doing a good job with it.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to that shoot, and I'm a little nervous about it. I'm a little nervous about it. Again, we go back to the Corvette guys wanting to tar and feather me for saying something negative, because I'm very frank. You know what I mean? I'm very like, hey, I like this, or I don't like this. You can see that from the Mustang GT video. I hated that car. I don't think Ford will ever give me a car again, by the way. And it's not that I hated the car. I just needed more time in it to really understand it, get to know it. And I don't think I really had the opportunity in that car. So I'm really looking forward to the C8, and I hope it surprises me. I really do. I really do. I mean, because I have some pretty negative expectations when I get cars because of, my own biases or my own experiences in the past. So, I'm hoping the Corvette is everything we hope and dream it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so I want to wrap today's video up. Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't checked out Chasing the Apex, please, there's a link in the description below. Jay always is producing some really kick-butt content that I think you're going to enjoy. I surely do. So be sure to follow him, link in the description below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and ring that bell for notifications. I'll be posting more content like this. Thanks for watching, and happy motoring.